All right, so we're going to do a quick refresher on complex zeros and what a complex number is. A complex number, first and foremost, is anything that has the imaginary component in it. That means when you take a square root of a negative number. If you remember from Algebra 2, the square root of -1 is going to be your I, and all complex numbers is in the form of a plus bi. Now, what's important to understand is all real numbers are complex numbers. So if I have a number, say, like 5, or square root of 3, these are also complex numbers because I can just simply add a 0i to it, plus a 0i. So these are complex numbers. So as we get into solving polynomials, not just quadratics, to find the x-intercepts, we are not going, if I ask for all complex solutions, you're going to have to give me basically anything with the real number and anything with the complex, the imaginary component on it. So let's do a quick refresher on what this is going to look like. So I have the quadratic here, f of x equals x squared minus x plus 5. So let's solve it. Let's find the zeros. Let's find the roots of this graph. So I'm going to do set it equal to 0. 0 equals x squared minus x plus 5. Now, with this, it doesn't factor. Because you could do, the only factors of positive 5 is 1 and 5, or -1 and -5, and that's going to give me a 6, and my middle term's not a 6. So I need to do the quadratic formula. Well, when I do the quadratic formula, I personally always do the discriminant first. The discriminant is the part under the square root. So let me write the quadratic formula if you don't remember it. It's -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you do not have that memorized, put it in your notes. All right, so I do the b squared minus 4ac first because it's going to tell me the type of answers I'm going to get. So let's do that first. Well, first, let's say a is 1. It's the number directly in front of the x squared. My b is the number and sign in front of the x, which is -1. And my c is my constant, which is a positive 5. So here we go. So I'm going to have -1 squared minus 4 times my a times my c. This gives me 1 minus 20, which gives me -19. Okay. Well, if my discriminant is less than 0, it means I'm going to have 2 complex solutions. So lo and behold, I'm going to have 2 complex solutions. So my final answer should have an I in it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into the rest of the quadratic formula. So I've got negative b. So I have -b plus or minus the square root of my discriminant, which is -19, all over 2 times 1, 2 times a. Well, let's clean this up. A negative and a negative makes 1 plus or minus. Well, the square root, this negative is a -1, so that becomes an I, square root 19 all over 2. And there are my answers. So that's just a quick recap of Algebra 2, because in pre-cal, we're going to be solving polynomials. Even though a quadratic is a polynomial, we're going to do higher order polynomials. In the next video, you'll see an example of that. Hi, I'm Mr. Buzzard, and these videos are supplemental instruction for my students. If you found the video enjoyable, make sure you click the like button and click subscribe, as well as the bell for notifications to receive future videos on high school mathematics.